the agenda. So starting off, how's it going?
Good. I feel a lot better.
With not being in sixth period and having Devon? Great.
Yeah, I think it, just like part of it was like my afternoons were chunked, like I'd have a work period and then I'd have to go in there and then I have a work period again, so it just feels good to have work time. And now I feel like, I checked in with Lizzie yesterday and we're ahead on the next audit, so I feel good.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, follow up on two things from the last time, professional development goals. Said to share them with me by Friday. Do you need anything for that?
I just need to sit down and do it.
And then you're still planning to do a Lexile growth goal lesson.
Yep.
Okay. The next thing, and I shared a picture with you via text message, but
Today?
no, and when I was in PD last week, was that last
Oh,
week?
yeah. And you shared it with me on the internet.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
So process elimination rubric and annotation rubric, these are also known as the plan of attack.
How do I pull those up?
These are for you
Oh,
too.
okay.
And so you're gonna have two action steps this week. One that we're gonna practice in a few minutes, but this other one is kind of a side project you're gonna need to do.
Okay.
I want you to create some criteria for success for process of elimination and for annotating and to post them in your room.
Okay.
So here's what I want you to do. Create a criteria for success for both. Look at what it takes to be advanced and then make a kid-friendly checklist.
Okay.
So for example, it would be read and annotate keywords or phrases in the question, read and annotate only, I would maybe say read and annotate only the most important words in the question or something like that. Some kind of kid-friendly checklist.
Is it possible that you look at the one that's up there now and see what is, actually I have it. It was based off the one we made last year. I can also make changes to it.
Let me see.
Like use something like this and just.
For annotations, probably.
Okay. I can just make changes and have it printed out again. That's totally fine. But something like this for both.
Something like that for process of elimination. Let's save annotations for later. We can
Okay.
probably have a follow-up conversation because I don't want to confuse them. But for process of elimination, yes, make something like that.
Perfect.
So I'm gonna actually change this then. I'm gonna leave it. So I'm sending you an action step that says using the rubrics, create and post an anchor chart. Criteria for success for annotations and for process of elimination. Definitely I wanna see the process of elimination one and we'll kind of look at that rubric and see what, if anything, needs to be updated.
Cool. That makes sense.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is for you. Up next, we're gonna dive into your coaching session. So, here's the next piece of paper for you. I'm so organized this year, Miss Chartier.
Doing a great job. Doing a great job.
Okay, so one of the things you've been working on in your classroom, you're continuing this year, which is writing formative assessments that aligns those end of workshops and the interim assessments. And so what has been the impact on your instruction from continuing that work this year?
I think even for today's a good example of it. I gave a quiz in Essential Literacy 2 on Friday. Essential Lit 2 on Friday. They have their interim assessment that Read 180 provides tomorrow. Looking at the data this weekend, I was like, oh, we need to go over this piece again. And today I was able to just do a quick reteach, and hopefully I'll see the impact on it tomorrow.
Great.
I'm able to identify gaps way easier.
Great. And you're avoiding that surprise at the end of the year.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Or even in the middle of the unit where it was like, holy smokes, there wasn't enough there weren't enough checkpoints.
Just to put on your radar, one of the things I want to work on with you later is starting to embed some higher level questioning throughout the lessons to make sure they're also building up to it. But today I want to dive into modeling, and specifically I want to call my shot. I want to dive into modeling because you're going to soon model teaching process of elimination. So be thinking about that when we do this.
Great.
So just in general, what's the purpose of modeling? We're not on there yet.
Okay. What is the purpose of modeling? So that students can see the expectations and what they're going to be working on.
Great, so they can see what they're actually gonna have to do is to show students how to think or write or solve a certain type of problem. So I'm gonna show you two clips that you've seen before, but it's helpful to look at them again. 3 questions for you to answer that on your paper. So our ORL videos. So how does he effectively launch the class into the model? how does he execute the model, and then how does he debrief it. So first we're going to watch the launch part.
We're going to look at an actual AP prompt. When that comes from a topic you should be pretty familiar with. And I'm going to model my thinking for you about how I approach this particular prompt and how I begin to break it down. And what I'd like you to do as I am going through my thinking for this prompt is to record notes about any of the strategies I use to break down this prompt in a really effective way. So if you notice the key steps I take, any strategies or questions even that I ask myself while I am going through this process, you want to capture it in the space provided. So just so we're really clear, what are you actually doing while I think aloud and I explain my thinking here? Tatiana?
You're right, taking notes on strategies you're using and basically the thinking that goes along with you breaking that down.
Great. Don't worry so much about my annotations here. I'm going to provide those for you. Focus more on the process and thinking behind the annotations I'm doing. Okay? With that said, let's dive in. So.
Alright, so how did he effectively launch them into it?
He names what he's going to be doing, what they're going to be doing, and I think also identifies the misconception of saying, like, do not take down my annotations.
How does he have them identify that misconception?
He says, at the very end, he said, really quickly what you're not doing.
Right, he also did a check for understanding. What exactly are we doing?
Yeah.
Great. Alright, let's go into the next clip. This is the execution. So how does he actually execute, and then right at the end, he'll debrief it with the kiddos.
So, the first step I want to do is underline, circle, highlight keywords that will clue me into the time and place of the prompt. So, historians have traditionally labeled the period after the War of 1812 the era of good feelings. So, I see War of 1812, an era of good feelings. That might be pretty important to me. So I see those words and I'm immediately thinking about a time period, a topic and time period. War of 1812, but it says after the War of 1812. So I'm thinking about that period afterwards. I also know the era of good feelings is 1815 to about 1825. That also matches up with the last part of the prompt, where it says to consider evidence from that period. But the years alone don't really help me. I want to think about what's happening at that time in America. So when I think about the era of good feelings, I immediately start to think about nationalism through things like the Monroe Doctrine. That's all I can think of right now, so I'm going to keep going. Now, secondly, I want to think about the actual verb. What is it asking me to do? What is it requiring of me here? So I see evaluate the accuracy of this label. Evaluate is my verb. I think back to that chart for breaking down the prompt that we looked at in the do now. And evaluate means to make a judgment. To judge something. Well, what am I actually judging here, I wonder? So I'm going to number them, nationalism and sectionalism, just to remember I have to discuss those somewhere within my essay. Now I want to rewrite it as an actual question to make sure I really understand this. So how can I reword this as a question? Well, I'm judging something. What am I judging? I'm judging whether this label, the era of good feelings, is accurate. Is it true? Was this really an era of good feelings? So I might rewrite it as something like, did the period 1815 to 1825 truly represent an era of good feelings? I've broken down the prompt. The very last thing I want to make sure I do is consider what diagram I might use for this. Well, it's an evaluate prompt. I'm making a judgment. So I want to be able to weigh two sides, see both sides of the argument if I have to evaluate them. A good tool for that
what did you do to effectively execute?
I put there for you at the bottom.
What did he do to effectively execute?
He used keywords like first I'm gonna do this, now I'm gonna do this. He started numbering his steps. He used things like so it sounded like what a student, he said, I'm thinking about. He identified the verb, he said what is being asked of me. He had like a toolkit, he said this is a really good tool to use for this.
And then how did he effectively debrief it?
Turn and talk, and he also to guide that, he said consider the questions that are at the bottom of this page.
Great. What was the turn and talk question that he asked you to hear it?
What steps did I take?
Great. All right. So, in thinking about how you have taught process of elimination before, what are the gaps between how you taught it before and what we saw in the model?
I think like what I'm thinking about, because I think about what turn and talk, or not the turn and talk. We kind of taught process of elimination with annotations and didn't teach them separately. And so I'm thinking about like how he named the skill very explicitly. And so doing like kind of separating those two I think is going to be helpful. To go through these steps more clearly. Like I think my essential lit 2 kiddos, like we talked about process of elimination again today when we were doing like, remember when we did like the positive and negative words? So we talked about that again today, and I think that they have some idea of it, but I don't think I necessarily named it as a skill independently of annotating.
Right, and last year when you modeled it also, like you did some markup, but they had their papers matching the board. They weren't actually thinking about, okay, what are the steps my brain should take when I need to use process of elimination? Okay, so your action step is gonna be what? Teach process of elimination how?
Through thinking steps.
Right, well, through modeling. So
Yeah.
the what is teach process of elimination through modeling, and I'm gonna tell you the 3 parts of the how. The first part of the how is provide students with a clear listening and thinking task. Model replicable thinking steps. And the third is debrief. Okay, before we dive into planning out your model, I need a little 1-pager for modeling, just for future reference.
Cool.
The purpose of modeling, again, to show students how to think right, solve a problem, or attack a task. 3 types of modeling we see most often. The one we just saw is like record the thinking steps. Like, don't be copying my problem. There's a space for you to decide here. I want you to record my thinking steps, and we're going to talk about what steps that I take. The other one might just be a simple paper matches board. And the last one would be applying a CFS or checklist.
Cool.
I think in the case of your process of elimination, you could do either
Both
one of these.
Yeah.
So you could do record thinking steps and have them try to generate your CFS, right? And you could say, first, I do this.
Yeah.
Second, I do this. And then when you debrief it, you could say, that's actually our CFS. So it's amazing you guys pulled it out.
Yeah, we kind of did that. We did the connotation and denotation today, and we did the thinking steps, and then just explicitly named the checklist.
Great. Or you could do it where you have the checklist already on there, and you model how to use it.
Oh, that's a good idea too.
I think that for this, I would go with the record the thinking steps first. And then later, if there's still a gap, go back to, okay, we have this checklist. Now do we have?
One thing that so when again, I'm thinking of like when I did annotations is like I gave them the annotation checklist like in their student packet, but I don't necessarily see them going back to it. So do you think there's a better way to like provide them with a checklist that they can use? I think that's in front of them.
I think like how Steven does on the exit tickets, how I put it at the top.
So just like put it on like a quiz. Okay, cool.
Or you could put it on a piece of colored paper, and anytime they take a quiz, you could just have it on their desk as a reference sheet. Remember, this is process of elimination, and collect it and just reuse them every time you have a quiz.
That's a good idea. Because I think like even with the annotation, it's on the board, but it's not necessary. I don't know if they're like. For me personally, like I like to check things off when I do them.
Right, and so maybe you give them a physical checklist that they can, not a half sheet that they can check on, or you do a colored sheet, lots of different options.
Cool.
All right, so let's go into planning how you're going to teach process of elimination. So I have for you a planner. point out, we have a copy of your materials that you're going to use. So, the kind of the steps you go through are what type of model do you want to use? What are the students doing? It's either paper, matches, board, or recording thinking steps. What are you doing most often? This is the, writing on the document camera.
Cool.
Then you'll do your exemplar on paper and script out what you're going to say and how you're going to debrief.
Great.
So take about,
Can
let's try.
I ask you a silly question? Is there something that we are like norming on across all English classes about like what we're saying when we're modeling process of elimination, or am I the only one teaching this?
You're the only one teaching it to these kids, but it's a great question.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to do this.
No, you're the only one teaching it to
Okay.
your group of kiddos. My plan, just to be transparent, was to take a video of you doing it and work on it with Jones next.
Cool. Okay, that sounds
Like
great.
I need you as an exemplar to teach process of elimination before I can come teach it to her.
Okay, that's totally fine. I didn't know if it was something that was also happening like
No, I
across.
think it'd be worthy of having a discussion with Schulte about though, because I gave him this too.
Okay, and then is this something I'll be doing in both essential lit
You
classes?
should.
Okay, great. Perfect. I just
Great questions. Work on this.
I just want replicable. Replicable.
That's not what I gave you.
It's such a bad speller. It's unbelievable.
Also, spell check said it wasn't a word, but it's on like all the Get Better Faster documents.
Also,
It only says replicate.
when my mom told my 5th grade teacher that she was worried about my spelling, her response was, "There'll be spell check. She doesn't need it."
Nice.
Yeah.
Spell check didn't exist when I was that age, but.
It didn't exist either there, so she was like, "There'll be something."
Oh, there
yeah.
will be.
Uh-huh.
Ah, that's funny.
process of elimination, should I model my thinking steps for the annotations, or should I have those done already?
I would have them paper matches board annotations and model thinking steps for process of elimination. So let's code that up, paper matches board. Here,
Okay.
and then here, leave them a space, like on here,
For thinking
add a
steps.
box or something.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I know you just kind of clarified this, but for this purpose, do you want me to script out the annotations or just script out the process of elimination?
Process of elimination.
Do you want to look at the first one?
Huh?
Do you want to look at the first question, or you want me to keep going?
No, you can keep going. For anyone else, I would say yes, but you're different.
I like this.
Template?
The process.
I can share the template with you. I just worked on something similar to Terry. He asked if I could share it.
I like it. Well, the template and I mean like the process for the elimination. Just like it's very straightforward for those. But I will also take the template for this too.
I already shared it.
Oh, you're about the rest. For the CFUs, do you want me to CFU the directions to the thinking steps, or CFUs what I did at the end?
What are the steps I took to use
Okay.
process elimination? So if you look back on that one page where it gives you 2 questions you can ask,
Sorry.
and you put it right here. So for example, you could ask, what did I do in my model?
Okay.
Or what are the key things to remember when you were doing some of the same work on your own? Or like, so what are the key things to remember when you're doing process elimination?
POE. Okay.
Okay, let me read through.
Sorry, it's kind of a my high school calc teacher called me scatterbrained.
So which model are they doing? So you pick one.
They're doing all 3 though.
For the process elimination,
Oh.
just for process elimination.
Okay. I'm gonna just and I will give them a CFS.
Okay, and so what do the directions sound like for that? Can you script that in?
Yeah.
You can use a different color if you want.
Okay. I never use them. Schulte asked me to use my red pen yesterday. I almost nearly had a heart attack. Here you go.
While I am answering questions 1 and 2, record the steps I take to use process elimination in the space provided in your paper. talk me through, actually, I don't have that much time. Normally I would say, talk me through what does the model sound like. I know you can model. Your script looks great. I want to talk about follow-up. So when are you teaching press sublimation?
When you want me to. I haven't, this was like just the first thing that was on my calendar for this. Can you pull up my quarterly plan?
For which one? Both.
Yeah. I haven't done quarter 2 yet though. Where's my weekend plan? Oh. I mean, I can teach it the first, quarter 2. I can teach it that first double,
It's important, I think, to do it before the IA.
okay, I will do it.
You could just do a standalone lesson too.
Yeah, I could. I'll do it.
Oh, you have a double block.
Yeah. Can I look at that calendar that I made last year? Sorry.
My instinct would say it'd be Monday the 15th. You could review data with them from the quarter.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, actually, it doesn't really matter. You look at the calendar.
I mean, I could do that and then start the rotation. That works. That would make me feel better, actually. And then start officially
So
doing
Monday,
it.
October 15th,
Yeah.
and you're going to do it in first period.
Yeah.
I'll put that in my calendar. 7:33.
You can also come third hour.
Observe. Chartier. Okay, eventually then what I want to do is get, actually let's do it for this day.
Grace to do it too?
Yes, so
Okay.
you should invite her. I'm gonna
She's been still coming into my first hour.
I'm gonna change model process. I'm gonna change it to co-observe. Chartier model process of elimination. And I put it on the calendar invite. Not that you wanted to, so you remember. Hey, not that you're afraid of anything in your life, but
I'm trying not to.
me too.
Gives
My
me
brain got
stress.
too full.
In your butt.
And my brain got too full.
Oh, I
Okay,
sound
what I
excited.
want also is I want to see 3 exemplars of using press elimination and 3 non-exemplars, because if you look on your agenda where I want to go next with you is like using discourse to talk about, like, now that I've showed it to you, like, how did this person use press elimination really well? What did this person not do? Because one of the things we really need to cut down in your class is the kiddos who underline everything or underline nothing.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm going to send you an invite.
For that you mean student work, right, when you say? Okay.
So I'll set it for the next morning, 7:30, provide, put 3 exemplars and 3 non-exemplars
Is it okay if it's from both classes? Like, I
for
don't have,
POE on Newell's desk. Yeah,
I've never been able to do that before.
Yep.
Great. For practice, do you want them to do all 8 silent and solo?
yes.
Great.
And you, when you're circulating, you can say, I'm coming around to see
Looking
that you've
for-
underlined only keywords.
Mhm.
I'm coming around to see that you have
There.
all those different criteria.
Great.